and welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earl, and here are today's topics. Liverpool deal Man City a brutal blow with a 2-0 win at Anfield that takes the Reds 9 points clear at the top of the table and leaves Pep Guardiola scratching his head for answers. Arsenal power past West Ham behind 5 first-half goals to keep their positive momentum going as they enter the busy period. Chelsea cruised to a 3-0 win over Aston Villa at Stamford Bridge, and Ruben Amorim secures his first Premier League win as Manchester United manager with a 4-0 victory over Everton. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode.
Okay, my friend, there is only one place to start. I would argue the biggest game of the season of the Premier League so far, certainly one of the defining games of the Premier League so far this season. Liverpool hosted a Manchester City team that had gone 6 games in all competitions without a win. A Liverpool team that were flying, going the other way, getting results against Madrid in the Champions League. Premier League champions come to town, and Liverpool get the job done in some style, in some respects. Rob, give us your big picture takes of the Liverpool win and how they went about it.
Well, I think most people that saw this game upcoming would have probably said this about this scoreline. I think if we'd asked predictions on terms of score,
how do you think it'll go?
I think most people thought that Liverpool were going to win the game. It kind of went as I think. Certainly myself and a lot of people thought it went. Liverpool showed us the different sides of their game. Yeah. They showed us the fierce start that they had, the energy from Anfield, the proactive nature that they can play and they can create on the front foot. Second half, more passive, more counter-attack, but equally as deadly. And I think the second half's going on, Rob, and we're saying, City look better, realising that they are better, but that means that there's probably going to be a chance for Liverpool on the counter-attack, and there was one when Mo Salah should have scored earlier on. But the biggest thing I learned today from Liverpool, because it went kind of how we expected, is the midfield and the power. And there was moments in the second half where I see Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and McAllister doing their thing. It reminded me of the Jurgen Klopp midfield of Wijnaldum and Henderson and Fabinho. And that power and the energy that they had that protected the back four. Now, the back four in great fettle, Virgil van Dijk is absolutely playing at his peak, but the midfield energy and Gravenberch, Rob, is he's doing his defensive thing, but coming out on the ball and going by a couple of people, that was the highlight for me as the midfield today for Liverpool.
There was an athleticism in the middle of the park for Liverpool that Manchester City couldn't live with. And you've got to remember, they had Gundogan in there at times. They had Rico Lewis or Bernardo Silva
was in there as a
who just didn't really have just the athleticism to get close to that Liverpool, as you say, stronghold in the middle of the field. I think for me, Rob, looking back on the game, in some respects it went as I thought. I felt the momentum was with Liverpool. What Liverpool can do now, maybe different to the Klopp Liverpool, is put on the control button. There's a button that says, OK, we don't have to be going forward to score every week. We don't have to be making chances every time we get the ball. Sometimes we control the ball with possession and opposition, which is actually City's thing, which is something they've lost. I think the other thing that I take away, Rob, is individual players who've brought another 5, 10, 15% to the game. We were talking on the match. Trent Alexander-Arnold is a more disciplined, focused defender than we've ever seen under Jurgen Klopp.
Yep.
Ryan Gravenberch is an absolute find, an athletic, strong, defensive, modern midfield player who can break play up and who can start counter-attacks.
And he gets through too as well sometimes. He does get box to box
get things happen.
A couple of times.
Virgil van Dijk is back to the Virgil van Dijk we saw prior to the injury. Interesting you talk about the midfield. Curtis Jones, who's been something sort, just doesn't get a shot today. We're talking about depth in the squad. No Nunez in the starting lineup. Just individuals, Rob. Kelleher, the young goalkeeper, deserves some credit. Another clean sheet, another commanding performance. Came up with a couple of big moments when he was needed. The man management of a number of players, and I'm even going to put Mo Salah in there, and I know the contract talk and people have and haven't liked it and whatever. Mo Salah still delivering for Liverpool. He was still a threat one-on-one every time he gave him the ball. He puts a penalty away. He guarantees you goal from the left-hand side of the Premier League more than anybody else in the league. And he looks happier than I've seen him. I know the contract thing is there, and that will continue to go over the next 6 months possibly. But there doesn't seem any signs, Rob, of towards the end of the Jurgen Klopp era, and maybe we've said it a couple of times, there was a few unhappy bunnies in the camp. You know, there was a little bit of a thing with Trent. There was a little thing with Robinson. Now and then we saw him having a go with Nunez and Diaz and Klopp. And maybe it was the right time after all they've done together, which is right.
Isn't it sometimes it's just good to get a fresh...
Exactly
that.
It
gets a little stale, people get a little agitated, but there's a little bit of that going on. You bring a new guy in, which is a big thing after what Klopp had done. But it's remarkable, Robbie, just how well he's done. Yeah. It really is. And the changes
that he's made. Especially coming from Dutch football, mate, where we often say with Dutch, either managers or players, they struggle a bit when they come to the Premier League. Yeah. Don't get the intensity, don't get, the week to week what it's going to happen. Players, we always say, well, if you score in the Eredivisie, it's another step to come in the Premier League.
To be a regular scorer in the Premier League.
Yeah. This guy has made the step from not just taking over a team, Rob, but taking over a team and improving them.
And another thing to mention today as well, and, Ibrahima Konate has been brilliant for them. Yeah. Missed him today. Yeah. And I thought, that might be
Joe Gomez.
I just think, isn't it another example, Rob, when a team is really playing well, that it can handle a couple of injuries.
Things in.
You can plug it a little bit. And City have done that brilliantly over the last few seasons, of course. Their players are out, they rotate, people come in, and nothing really changes. That's what it's like with Liverpool right now. They're such in a good spot that you can lose certain, not many of them, but they lost a couple today. I mean, I guess Trent comes back in as a normal right back anyway. Conor Bradley's out injured, but Joe Gomez did a really good job. Robertson, I was a little bit worried about. He's been not quite at his best level the last few weeks. Had a sound game as well.
Yeah, made a couple of good runs forward.
Fully deserved victory, wasn't it? It was a fully deserved victory with different sides to what they can do, and a 9-point lead at the top, Rob, down to Arsenal now, which I think Arsenal are going to be their biggest contender. I mean, we'll get on to talk about Chelsea, but that was such a big step in terms of, we joke a little bit in the studio about, is that one hand on the trophy? Because it's such, and it's really, really early to talk about that. But that was as impressive as you might have expected.
That was more comfortable than I've seen any Jurgen Klopp team take on Manchester City. Now, I know City not in great form, and I know they're missing so many players, and there's lots of reasons why. But there was another edge to Liverpool. It's like they've got another, as you say, those options that they can go to. I think one area I just want to give Arne Slot a bit more credit as well, Rob, is when I was listening to the press conferences last night, he was talking about Pep and says what's great about Pep is he's a problem solver and he finds a solution often in very different ways. And I thought it was very gracious of him. Arne Slot is a problem solver. When there's a problem, mate, and it's not always X's and O's, he's obviously a very talented and acute tactician. But sometimes he talks about energy and effort. I always go back to the first game at Ipswich, where Ipswich were beating Liverpool up a little bit. It wasn't going to form. He took off Quansah, he put on Konate, he said, we start winning duels, they won the game. I see today in the game, the first thing he talked about was we started with good energy and effort, despite, obviously the overrunning in midfield and the threat from Salah, all the tactical stuff. There was an interesting point, and it was around 70-ish minutes on the clock when Doku and Savinho come on, and Doku was on the left-hand side and started to give Trent a little bit of a problem.
He did,
And it was almost like, it was 1-0 at the time, and the game could have been in the balance. And straight away he says to Quansah, on you come. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, Quansah's going to come on with Van Dijk, and Gomez will go out to right back, and Gomez maybe deals defensively better with Doku. No, he went with Quansah and went, you go right back. One change in the defence, not two. You go to right back. Now, he obviously, understands and knows Quansah and believes in his one-on-one ability to defend, and then not to upset the back two partnership that had done well, that kept Erling Haaland relatively quiet, even though we had a few reservations about Joe Gomez just in terms of size in the box. But again, Rob, he solved the problem. And the moment Quansah came on, distinguished the threat from Doku.
Yeah, he also tweaked the game against Real Madrid at Anfield, second half, where they tweaked it a little bit. They overloaded the left side, left the right side a little bit more open for Bradley and for Mo Salah to do their thing. And everything he's doing at the moment, everything's touching stone into gold.
Correct.
Now, I think we both think there's going to...
There's a dip coming, my friend.
There is
a
dip
point.
coming.
At some point. I don't know how that looks.
Yeah, before we get to City, and I think we talked about it on the show, like, there's so many other players that can come in. Harvey Elliott came into the field. Curtis Jones has been brilliant in their midfield. There's your cover. We know about the cover, the attacking options. Darwin Nunez come off the bench. You know, he even got that right, didn't he? Luis Diaz didn't have his best game, but who scores the first goal? Cody Gakpo. Gakpo played on the left-hand side, comes in. He's a goal threat from the left-hand side, as well as Diaz in the centre, with Mo Salah. I mean, options up front, tick the box.
Yeah, we know that.
Midfield now, where a few weeks ago I'd be like...
Weren't too sure, were we? Yeah.
Don't know about...
What's the balance?
You know, that looks like Szoboszlai stepped up today, Rob, for me.
Yeah, he
stepped up in terms of energy and
big
effort.
pull, wasn't it? Yeah.
And this continues to have this excellent defensive record. And a goalkeeper, the number 2, they're superb. So in terms of every single department of the team, excellent. And it's like, it's tough to see how it's going to drop
Real
off.
football tells you, history in the game, career in the game tells you, this doesn't last forever, mate. There's, you know, I know they've had one bad day against Forest and got caught on a counter-attack and that, but they're going to lose a game.
Yeah, they lost 1, right?
Yeah.
And it's 13 games in.
Yeah.
If they keep going at the same rate, they're going to lose 3
over a season.
And they're going to win it if they keep, obviously at the same rate. They've won 11 out of 13 Premier League games.
But when you go top and when people start talking you as favourites and all the things, there's another pressure in there.
Yeah,
we know that Lee Dixon, our friend, has told us all about that when he's won at Arsenal. Graham Lasso at Blackburn. We saw it with Arsenal over the years, that it was okay to a certain degree, and then it started to affect you.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say in defence of Liverpool and Arne Slot is, I think he's got the whereabouts to, as a problem, you might have a problem one day, you lose a game. I think he'll solve the problem the next game. He's a guy who makes big, bold decisions, generally they're right. Because they've got different ways to win the game. Man City win games through their possession and their attacking edge and don't give the ball away. We know what that. Liverpool can do it different ways. Liverpool can tough it out.
They did. Today was a different way.
They
First
can
half,
tough it
second
out.
half. Yeah, they can, and it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we said a few weeks ago, more than that, probably a couple of months ago, we haven't played anybody yet.
Yeah.
Well, they have now. They have now, and they look stunning. Just as quickly.
Let's talk about Man City today.
Yeah. The fact that Ilkay Gundogan plays alongside Bernardo Silva blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I know there's not a ton of options in there. There's not. But you could have done something different. You could have played Matheus Nunes, who can run.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's a brilliant defensive.
Could you stuck a Kanji in there? Because he looked like he was trying to do that a little bit second off when they had a bit of possession and Kanji came in. So could Lewis have gone one full back? Could Walker have gone the other? Ake and maybe...
Guardiola has had a nightmare recently, right?
Yeah.
He could have started at left back, which makes a Kanji could have played in midfield.
Yeah, I just feel they lacked a bit of presence in midfield, didn't they? When you look at Gundogan, Silva and Rico Lewis, no one's over 5'6". They're brilliant footballers, great technicians, and I'm not in any way criticising them. Yeah. But sometimes just having somebody who's with a bit of size and stature who can get around the pitch just gives it a different look.
I think we disagree on something about City, where I said before the game, like, I think Rebecca ask us on a show about Arsenal fans.
Yesterday,
what's the best result for an Arsenal fan? And I said a Man City win, because I think Liverpool need to be slowed down. Yeah. And if Man City slow them down a little bit, which they would have done with a victory, that I still believe that Arsenal, if you're an Arsenal fan, I still believe that City aren't the same team this year. They're not going to win it, even if they won the game today, where you thought...
I think if City get that back to 5 points and start getting people back, and we've seen City brilliant over the years. We've seen a very different City over the last 6-7 games that we've never seen before. But you give this team a sniff of a title. You give them a sniff of a title, they will come back and have it.
Not with the players that's long term out for the team and the way that where they are right now in the league table, the results of this. But we've seen a third of the season, Rob. This is a third of the season. In 13 games, their goal difference is only +3. This is going to be an off season for Man City, and I mean, it doesn't matter now because they didn't win the game, but is it any more than an off-season? Is it a rebuild? Or I'll tell you what I think.
That's the question.
I think there's a few players to come back, obviously.
Yeah.
When they get back, they're going to be pretty close to what they were. Yeah. But there will be some tweaks needed in January or in the summer to get back to winning the Premier League title.
My point would be that the gap now to Liverpool, under Slot, doing what they're doing, is too big to close down. I think if the gap was any smaller, Manchester City would still have a chance.
Yeah, well, they might have done, but I just don't think it's going to be their year this year.
It was definitely Liverpool's day today.
Yeah,
great 2-0 world, clean sheet, 2 goals, and 11-point gap now to Manchester City in the title race. Let's go to London Stadium, West Ham Arsenal, my friend. So it was a West Ham team that had come out of a decent result against Newcastle. Lopetegui needed it. There was talk about
really decent
he had
result.
2
really
games
good.
to save his job. An Arsenal team that looks back in form, mate. We saw them score 3 against Nottingham Forest in the midweek. I think it was 5 against Sporting in the Champions League ahead of this game. So 2 teams in good form coming together, thinking it's a decent derby, thinking this one's be contested. Wasn't the case, really, was it? In 38 minutes, I think it was, Arsenal Football Club were 4-0 up.
Yeah, it was. Everything is clicked into place for Arsenal, and I mean everything. We saw a set-piece goal. We saw Gabriel again. Was a nuisance from set pieces. Scores the first one. Of course, there's a penalty where the goalkeeper nearly punches his head off for a penalty. You're still seeing Kai Havertz score goals. You're still seeing Martin Odegaard pulling the strings. You know, they're still spreading the goals around. Saka scores. Havertz scores. Trossard scores. Like everything that the manager wants, he sits back. You know, after this game yesterday, and he's like, that's it, I've got everything that I want back again. So normal service has been resumed. I mean, when they're on it, they're a joy to watch Arsenal, and we all know about Odegaard, and lots been spoken, and rightly so. A couple of injury doubts. Gabriel went off, didn't he? Calafiori went off.
I'm not sure what those were.
That'll be a slight.
Kivior's not the greatest to come in with. He doesn't fill me with confidence, Rob, when he plays either at left back or left side centre back.
I think this, going back to the last conversation, Rob, I think if you've got to put in Zinchenko for a little bit, whether it's Kivior, I know, but are they in such a good moment that it gets covered up? Like their football's
possibly.
So good.
They're in good form when the confidence is rolling in the team.
And it doesn't affect.
It just worries me that there's an error in a Kivior in a big moment. That might be the difference.
This goes back to how many games is Gabriel going to be out?
Going to be?
I think one, 2 or 3 games, you often get away with it. The longer it goes on, as we saw it with Saliba, when he was out that time, you can get away with it for a little bit, but the longer term, it's a problem. No, I mean, there's not a lot more for me to add to that. The only thing I would say, Rob, just look at my notes here in the second half, is like the game was kind of done, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was always. It's hard when you've got 4 goals, 5 goals in the first half to think about going again in the second.
When we saw Martin Odegaard go down in the second half, we're like, should he be on? Like, should they have made changes a little earlier?
Could he have 60 minutes gone? You've had a good run. I know you've been out injured. You've got an hour under your belt. Off your pop. Bukayo Saka is so important to that team, Rob. And every time he plays, he did come off.
Late.
He got a little bit of a knock though before that, and we were wondering, hold on, And listen, Mikel Arteta obviously has his reasons for keeping them on the pitch, because he must be thinking, he's a smart enough coach to be thinking that, Rob. But I just wonder, could we not have seen Nwaneri a little bit earlier? Could we have seen Jesus a little bit earlier?
Well,
Martinelli, Sterling. There was enough people who weren't in the starting 11 to just change it with 20 minutes to go, who would have been firing to show
even
that they're still part.
Even half an hour.
They still show that they're part of things. And by the game was done then. West Ham weren't ever going to come back into the game. But that's down to Mikel Arteta. Maybe he's trying to get minutes in some players that haven't had it.
Just thought he got more for Sterling, more for Nwaneri.
I'd agree.
That was the only thing. But I mean, other than that, the business was done really well.
And just to that point, and Arsenal fans will have their own view, but might he have to manage those players in certain games, in certain situations? Still in the Champions League, obviously, FA Cup to come, and Premier League. Might you have to, some games, if things are going well after 60 minutes, say to Saka, off you come, and have trust in those other guys, because what we've seen, Rob, when Martin Odegaard wasn't there, with Bukayo Saka's out of the team on that right-hand side where he scores or assists.
Those 2 players.
There's a difference. There's your title challenge or not title challenge. And so might just have to think a little bit about how what minutes those guys are getting.
But then you get into situations. I mean, not necessarily have to prioritise competitions.
No.
What you're saying is when there's an opportunity. And you're 3 goals up.
Correct.
Then because I think
don't take a risk.
I think is a bit of a
It's
a bit of a come off.
Does it with Trent? Do you remember early in the season and he said to Trent, you have your minutes, you can't afford an injury. And I know players ain't going to like it. And Odegaard looks like he wants to play every minute, and Saka's the same. Sometimes, just help them out, because players will want to play every minute of the game.
No, they're in a good spot. Arsenal are in a good spot.
West Ham disappointed, my friend. Just a quick line on Lopetegui. Every time you think there's a little step forward, there's another one goes back. I was listening to radio last night. West Ham fans not happy, mate.
Yeah,
I know the Newcastle win was a great win, and they talked about the Pacator and better shape, but it didn't look great again.
I'm not feeling it for West Ham and Julen Lopetegui, and I know he's in some ways he's had a great job. Spanish national team, Real Madrid coach, like he's done good work. Wolverhampton Wanderers, of course, before West Ham in the Premier League. I don't like where they are on the league table. No. I'm not seeing the impact and the changes that I thought I would see. Yeah. I'm not seeing the attacking
players, aren't they? With a better level of player now. The Pacators, the Rodriguez.
You look at even the back four, right? Yeah. Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Kilman, Emerson.
Yeah.
Emerson's won big things.
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka.
He's a good defender.
I think midfield's a bit odd. It's a bit of an odd, Souček and Paquetá plays deeper. Yeah. It should be number 10 really, or at least number 8.
He played so well against Newcastle from that position.
No, but it's not sustainable for a long period of time, is it? Basically, are they? I feel like there's a better team in there than what we're seeing right now.
Better team with the same players.
Yeah, there's a better team. There's a better performance.
I'd agree.
Than what we're seeing. So there's an underperformance from the manager. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I would go more that I don't like the style of play. I don't like the way that they try and build up and take so much risk, Rob, with players who are not naturally built.
Yeah, but there's enough technical. I mean, that's the whole point of bringing him in, wasn't it, to change the style of football from David Moyes?
Yeah, but if you go too expansive with players who Kilman and the
Kilman
likes
can play.
Kilman
can play.
He can play, but he doesn't want balls under pressure where the press is on from a decent team like Arsenal, and you've got one touch to play outside. I'm telling you, mate, that isn't going to work. That is not going to... The amount of times I've watched West Ham games, and I've watched a little bit because I'm interested, got friends who are West Ham. How many... You have a look, go back and watch. How many times you see a midfield player from West Ham running back towards his goal, trying to stop somebody, crossing the ball or thing, because they've given away the ball. The two full-backs get high and wide early, so they leave the two centre-backs isolated, try and play into midfield, it breaks down, and people are running at them.
So are you saying that his expansive nature is not... They're struggling with it. Let me cut to this, mate. The next 5 games, let's just read these off for West Ham United: Leicester, Wolves, Bournemouth, Brighton, Southampton.
Yeah.
That for me is good. After that run of games,
9 points. We're 9 points.
We're gonna know enough about this manager with this group.
Well,
and
I think West Ham are already looking at options beyond Lopetegui.
And listen, you know me with managers, right?
Yeah,
I want to be sure. I want to see what they've got. Give them time. It's a third of the season gone now. After this run of games, that's good. We should be seeing something, mate. We should be seeing some improvement, some development. This is what he's trying to do. There's some better results. If we're not, I'm on the phone to my sporting director. Tim Stuyton, by the way, we had on our set.
A conversation with. He's a very confident guy.
Very confident. I don't. Some of the signings.
Fulkrug has been a disaster.
Can't get fit.
I mean, the point that Mikel Antonio is still centre forward for the West Ham team,
and I love him,
based on what
I love him,
man. He should be part of the team. He shouldn't be my main centre forward who any goals. Yeah. For all the money that's spent over all the years, we're still going back to where we are.
I like Kilman. Good signing, $51 million.
Yeah, he's been decent.
Luis Guillermo from Palmeiras, the 18-year-old kid. Hardly seen anything of him. Somerville looks bright. I like Wan-Bissaka's done a decent job. Todibo looks decent. Guido Rodriguez in the middle of the park. Soler looks...
He's a better...
So,
good players.
rightly, under scrutiny, under a little bit of pressure, this is not what West Ham fans wanted. They wanted a different style. They wanted a bit more entertainment, but they wanted some results. So there is a balance there, and he's
yesterday
not
was a big result for West Ham, because they either start to get mid-table and feel like, we're starting to get there, we just beat Arsenal, or you get beat as badly beat as they were, Rob, and they're down amongst the teams that they shouldn't be.
No, exactly right.
Not that you've spent that money. So, we'll see how that goes. Lopetegui, big, as you say, 4 or 5 games between now and Christmas time for the West Ham manager. Let's go to Stamford Bridge, because it's always a good watch. Enzo Maresco and this young Chelsea team continue, my friend, to improve, continue to impress. Robbie Mustoe shaking his head in there. I love what I'm seeing, and this is a team for a few seasons.
For a decade.
Decades.
We're seeing the start of a really good team, and of the age of them, of course. They could, I'm not going to say dominate, because I'm not sure anybody's going to dominate, but they're on to good things.
Yeah.
They're obviously on to good things. They got a smart manager that is tactical stuff now is really good, and we've broke it down many times. Yeah. It's kind of cool what he's trying to do. You see it all the time. The players know what they're doing. And the biggest thing about this, and I said it on the air, is that he's found a system or a way of playing that suits everybody.
Yeah.
Suits everybody, Rob. It suits Cole Palmer and it suits Enzo Fernandez.
Fernandez in that midfield.
To be a little higher. Yeah. It suits both of them. I don't want to see them trekking back as a winger or trying to do work Enzo Fernandez as a number 6 where he doesn't want to do it. He wants to be where he's playing. Yeah. He's found a way with clever tactical side with a fullback coming into midfield with a holding player to have his base and you go and do what you want to do. And I've still got my wingers and I've still got my striker that's becoming a regular, reliable goal scorer with a great age, learning all the time with a good squad of players. And they were ridiculed at the start, Rob. With all these players, these two sporting directors, co-sporting directors, they wanted the manager out, Pochettino out, and they wanted this guy in. At the moment, well done, those guys. And well done, the club, because I really like, as any other team right now, I'm enjoying watching this team grow and improve and feel so comfortable. That was so easy. I want to definitely get onto Aston Villa. But that game, another game with Chelsea, they're winning games, Rob, pretty easily. Yeah. And these young players are learning all the time. A lot of good things to come from Chelsea.
The stick that everyone was beating Maresco and Chelsea was the amount of players, the squad. That's going to be a problem. I heard him say, interestingly, in his press conference recently, that it's one squad and I take a different team and different set of players for certain games. Conference League has been good to him, Rob, because it means players are getting minutes if they're not in the first team in the Premier League. And then we're seeing the quality of depth that they have when some of those players are on the bench. So you can bring on Nkunku, you can bring on Felix.
Madueke.
You can bring on Madueke. Quality operators because you've got that depth of squad. The other thing, Rob, that I particularly like, some of the man management. Enzo Fernandez was a quality world champion player. He wasn't putting the graft in. He was thinking I'm the luxury guy.
Yeah. I can play that pass.
Yeah, and I can be the number 10 and I don't really have to do the work. Enzo Maresco said, you know what? Out you come, Lavia, you go in and show what 2 can do. This week he gets all 3 midfield players, although Caicedo started at right back, but generally ended up in midfield, which is where he wants.
Enzo to where he wants to play.
And he puts Enzo up to the 10, exactly where he wants to play. So I like the man management in the individual, like, we ain't carrying any passengers, you have to do your work. And I like the kind of rotation and flexibility he has in, as you say, getting people in the right spots, getting Cole Palmer turned on the half side from that right side. I think that's why you're saying things have become easy, because people are understanding the roles.
Totally understand
and what I would say, Rob, now, and it's 13 games in, it might sound a bit bold and a bit crazy, he has left a bigger impression on this football club than Graham Potter in all his time and then Mauricio Pochettino in all his time.
Already.
In 13 games, he's had a bigger imprint on this football club. That's credit to him and the people behind who've bought the players.
Yeah, the only couple of things, so he was asked about whether they're in the title races. Oh, we're not ready. And I get it, and I don't think they are ready for that. They're so young. No. I mean, where they are right now, they're absolutely in it. They're in a title race. But whether they can go the whole with those young players, I don't know.
I'm glad he said that, though. I wouldn't want him to say we're in a title race, because I think it would add another layer of pressure that this team don't need.
No, he wants to keep the pressure away. The only thing as well, a player that I absolutely think is brilliant, Wesley Fofana, limped off again, Rob. He looks such a talent. Is he going to be one of those guys that the rigours of Premier League football maybe is a bit much for his body? Again, really early to say that, but he's had so many injury issues. Such a brilliant centre-back, I think. So that wasn't good news.
Having said that, they've got Tosin and they've got Badiashile as backup, so it's nice backup. But I know what you mean, and it's same with Reece James in some respects, isn't it? We've got to talk about the captain. You like to have that settled look about you.
All right, let's talk about Aston Villa, mate. Because me and you, if there's one thing we've done over the last year or so, is give Unai Emery tons of credit for how he's turned this club from underperforming to outperforming and getting into the Champions League and playing Bayern Munich and Juventus, etc. at home. Now, this performance from Aston Villa is not acceptable. So now is the time to say, you know what? Fair play. You've done a brilliant job. You're a great coach. We've enjoyed what you've done with the team. But that effort, that performance is not good enough for Aston Villa fans.
Yeah.
And it's looking like these big European nights. And I get it. I get it. Bayern Munich at home, Rob, with that atmosphere at Villa Park and Juventus and given everything, the highs of that, they cannot get anywhere near that intensity for the Premier League. And I do understand that. They don't make too many changes. I mean, why would you?
He's got a few injured, to be fair. He hasn't got that many options, mate.
Well, he ain't got many injured. He hasn't got many injured.
Onana injured.
Onana's injured and Jacob Ramsey.
Injured.
I mean, on my list there, that's all the two that there are. And I get it, in the Champions League, you want to play your strongest team. Yeah. So it's not as though he can, like Chelsea have the luxury of the Europa Conference. Not who cares, but he can totally, where this is a big deal for Villa. So all that being said, I still want more from my players, Rob, and my manager. I think Unai Emery sat on the bench. It was. I thought that was a little bit concerning, that the walking, and I've seen that a couple of times now, kind of walking around, they're 2-0 down, I looked at them and they don't really look like they want to get back into this game. They kind of seemed okay with it, and they're 4-4-2.
They've lost a little bit edgy at the top of the pitch, but isn't helpful. Ollie Watkins
had that chance early on.
Has had a good chance. It changes the game.
Other than that...
No, they haven't created too much more, but there hasn't been a threat.
But the effort wasn't there.
John Duran has come off the bench and been a spark. That's gone. No, I think he's come off the bench the last 8 games, nothing. So... when you haven't got that at one end, Rob, you're not defending well. And the big thing with Villa, I wrote a note. I said, Villa have to play with energy and intensity to be Villa, to be Unai Emery's Villa.
The height that they play and the way they want to push you in. If there's no intensity,
you get done.
There's a lot of space in behind them.
And people get in behind you far too easily. So, listen, I believe in Unai Emery. I think he's a good manager. Listen, they're right at the space where Newcastle were... Champions League, Premier League, around this time, November, December.
We disagreed.
And I felt, and I still feel, this guy can manage his way out of this situation. I'm not going knee-jerk like... There was a poor performance today after a big Champions League week, and I get it. And I get the criticism, and he'll get the criticism. What I would say is, I believe in this manager and the way that he works and the way that he does. And you know what? If you have to change a few players around, this squad was deeper, and I don't quite know where the injury...
was a little disappointed. Philogene got in terms of trying to freshen up a little bit.
Instead of Bailey, wasn't he? He rested Bailey.
He had a couple of runs, Philogene. It's difficult. In the Champions League competition, Rob, it's more games. There's more league stage. It's going to get to the knockout. It's hot, and of course it's got to be
I just
hard.
feel with it, and I think I said to one of my mates who's a Villa fan, and said, "Oh, you're always worried about Champions League." And I just said, these players, not long ago, were dealing with making sure they stayed in the league. They're now dealing with trying to be at the top of the league and try and play and that's not easy, mate. And to get to that level,
and I said that. I know it's not easy.
Yeah, to
but,
the level.
But give us a bit more than that. Give us a bit more than that. That's all I'm saying.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's take it to Old Trafford, my friend. So Ruben Amorim has his first Premier League home game for Manchester United. They face an Everton team who are generally difficult to play against, hard to score against, though they don't score that many themselves. So when I say Manchester United 4, Everton 0, Manchester United are back. Massive shout.
Wow, it's refreshing. 4-0 is like, wow, that's good. Old Trafford, imagine the feel-good factor. Again, this is in the window. Lots of games going on, so it's hard to really study them. But I loved them from... I liked them from day one. I know it was clunky. I know it didn't go great with the system. I can see it.
The Ipswich
sit back
game,
and I can this is what they're going to try and do. Okay, and the experimentation will continue. I think
people in different spots.
Yeah, people in different spots. I mean, Mainu played today. Xerxes played today. He's going to play with the front 3. Rashford as a 9 looks really good, but he's going to play sometimes in a wide outside area. Different 2 in the midfield. Different wing backs. Different outside centre backs of the 3. I think it's going to change over time. He's still figuring stuff out, but this is a great boost for everybody. They feel like they've got the right guy, and there's a structure, there's a philosophy. The fingerprints, you can see it already, and that's got to be a great thing.
I think boost is a great word, and I think that the thing that stood out to me, Rob, in the 4-0 win was all the goals were kind of created by the team. So the first one was the free kick, the corner kick routine that Rashford, you've done on the training ground, Rashford scores.
That worked out,
The second one, Diallo plays on the right-hand side, wins the ball, gets played across to Xerxes, he finishes. Third goal, Rashford gets played in from Diallo, finishes. Fourth goal, good play again on the right, Diallo places. So centre forwards being in the right spot are getting chances created by the team.
Correct.
Big chances.
Yep.
That wasn't happening under Ten Hag.
It was not.
So a centre forward. So Marcus Rashford scored 3 goals in 2 games in a week in Amorim. I couldn't tell. He had 1 goal up to the season under Ten Hag and Van Nistelrooy. So there's a difference, mate. There's a structure that allows a centre forward to profit, to gain and get his goals. And I'm just hoping from a Manchester United point of view and a personal point of view for Marcus Rashford, it's a little switch. It's a little reboot. It's a little go again.
It is a go again. And I've been harsh on Rashford over the last couple of seasons, Rob, with his inconsistencies. But there is a value to be had. And a lot of the top managers say about it. I remember Ange Postecoglou talking about, individual players improving. And he said it's about the team. If the team improve, the players improve.
Yeah.
And that's real. That's real. If everyone knows what they're doing all of a sudden, and they're all in the spots, then people haven't got to go running around trying to do crazy things. They all know what they're going to do, and they're all, working to try and do their jobs well, which will create more chances for Rashford. This is, for me, this is the last spin of the dice for Rashford. Show us then. Come on, we need to see it now.
Well, a good manager with a system that's set up, with a system that's set up for a number 9 to score goals.
Maybe.
And as you say, it might be that times he plays in the 10 position. Somebody else, whether it's Højlund or somebody else could play up there.
Yeah.
And right now, mate, I'm going to go to my underappreciated performer of the week. And we knew Amorim was coming in. I think we've done a couple of breakdowns on the system and who would be where. And I think wing-backs was the kind of thing people have said,
who was going to fill those spots.
You like sometimes a defensive one side and a more attacking one the other. We wondered whether Garnacho, Dalot, Mazraoui were going to be in those positions. Amad Diallo, my friend, has been a little find for Ruben Amorim. Well, and just let me finish on my point, and I'll let you get back in. Under Eric Ten Hag, Diallo was in and out, didn't really know if he was playing, played a couple of cup games, a couple of European games. Sort of, I got the sense every time I saw him, he looked frustrated because he didn't feel like he was going to ever get a run in the team. He'll come on, even if he played well, often we didn't see him on back-to-back games.
He's the easiest one to drop, Rob.
He was, as a young player. Whereas he's come into this role, Rob, he's come into the right wing-back, obviously with a slight tilt more to be attacking maybe than Dolo on the left, which I like. But I tell you what, I've really been impressed. Not 3 assists today in the game, involved in everything good that Manchester United did. What I've really been most impressed with, Rob, is his understanding of that role. You've talked about it before, and we've all actually once in a try to play wing-back. One of the worst positions in the world if you haven't got it right. And I hated it.
I hated it too.
You've got to get your distance from your centre-back. You've got to be the right time to push it. Sometimes you're up and down and up and down. This kid looks like he's got most of that, and I'm sure he's going to improve. Tell you what I've liked, what I've seen Ipswich and Everton. He doesn't have to do his defensive side well. He doesn't have to take that responsibility, his understanding at the time. I've got to block crosses, got to be in certain space. And then when he breaks with energy, he breaks with quality. He's a right winger. He's Diallo that we want. He's been the little find for me, and he's my underappreciated performer of the week. Because for all the big money that's been spent and for all the big names around Manchester United, they might have just unearthed a little diamond.
I love him. And he's been there a little while.
Yeah.
And I think, did he go out on loan? He went out on loan initially. Just think about a left-footed, small player on the right side where things happen. He's an end product guy. Bukayo Saka, how about him? How about Bukayo Saka? And how about a similar nature to him? End
not
product.
The worst,
Not always incredibly flashy, but things happen when he gets a ball. I love the shout. I love the fact that who wants to play right wing back for Man United? Who wants to play right wing back? I'm not sure anybody wants to do it, mate. Dalot can certainly do it that side.
I mean, too many others.
And it's the inverted thing with his left foot. And again, the end product. And again, it all goes back to the team that he knows what he's doing. He knows where he is. He knows where
having
Bruno is.
possession
he knows where the
helps, by
the
the way.
Possession.
Keeping possession, so we're not giving it away. So I'm up and I'm back and I'm up. We got possession, then I can move
I know
up
where
the
people
pitch.
are, and it's going to be the same next week. We're going to play the same position. I know there might be different people in those positions, but I know that there's going to be 2 guys there. There's going to be 1 guy there. I've got a right side centre back there. The team thing is so important, and it's going to make these players look better, improve better, perform better, and it's exciting. And it's exciting, and it's what Man United have wanted now for a long period of time. A guy with a blimmin' strong tactical game plan that's getting the best out of some of these guys. So I like the shout, I like Man United right now.
What do you like of Everton right
Nothing,
now?
mate. And you know what, Everton? I keep wanting to say they're going to be all right. And I've said it a lot. Like when we get a real good look at the team, I'm like, you know what?
They're set up well, aren't they, defensively?
And Njayi and this new side, and the way. And again, we didn't get a good study.
Beto played up top, didn't he, today?
Did he? Right, Beto played up front. Yeah. So it's I don't know. They when you think they're safe, they take a couple of steps back, and everybody starts to question, and the pressure comes on the club again.
Yeah.
Is it going to be another one of those seasons, Rob, where they're looking over the shoulder the whole way through? Is it?
It could well be, and we know that great stadium's waiting for them next season, and they can ill afford to be down there. To get things
sorted. Going to come in,
but I think like you, I believe in Sean Dyche enough, and I believe in what they're doing.
But they're starting to wane a little bit, mate.
Goals is a problem for them at the moment, mate. Somebody to score at the top end of the pitch is being a problem. Let's get to some of the other results of sort of another dramatic weekend. Spurs won, Fulham won. So after a 4-0 win against City last weekend, Spurs draw against Roma in the Cup, draw against Fulham, 1-0 up. But every time I watched this game, and I was looking, it was Fulham who looked like they were attacking more.
Well, it looked like it was you attack, we attack, you attack, which is kind of normal for them.
We know.
And that's why you're going to get these results that are a bit, some surprising results, because they give the opponents chance, and Ange's absolutely okay with that. They did have a red card, didn't they? Tom Kearney got a red card. 83rd minute. So not a lot of time to have an extra man. Just Tottenham. That is the way it's going to be.
As Anne said I don't know if you saw the presser, and he sort of said pragmatism.
That's not interested, mate.
That's not me. Yeah, and one day you'll miss me, and you'll miss my attacking style, and you'll have all that pragmatism.
Yeah.
And
I like him. I like his approach. I know it's not perfect.
Yeah.
I know that some people might want certain things twinged. I want just to see more time. I want to see more time with him, because he is going to try and change things slightly.
Correct.
I want to see more time. I hope the fans are enjoying it. It's not, I know they expect him to be higher than 7th place, but they're not many points off top 4.
It's tight,
and it's going to be one of those seasons. And we'll
learning,
see.
Maturing, getting
exactly.
our group together, and get Romero and Van der Ven back in the team. That makes you better. Let's go to the G-Tech, mate. Goal fest going on with Brentford.
At home. Incredible.
At home. 1-0, I think 1-0 down, weren't they? Buonanotte gets the first goal for Leicester.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Wissa again, isn't it?
Wissa,
gets a hat-trick.
8th Premier League goal for him. And then Sade, mate, with a hat-trick. They're scoring some goals, Brentford, this season. I think it's 20, is that 26 goals for Brentford?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
right up here. Right
crazy number.
26 goals.
Yeah, 26 goals. That's as many as Liverpool.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's and all this without Ivan Toney.
They've moved on from that.
They have moved on. I love Jan Wissa.
Yeah.
I think Brian Mbeumo is an excellent player. He's a really good Premier League player. And the other player, who is my underappreciated performer, is Kevin Schade. Nobody talks about Kevin Schade.
Yeah, I know.
But that was always the thought that he was going to be a left forward, a goal-scoring player. I think he's 23 years of age, and maybe it's an easy choice today, given he's got his 3 goals.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a little nod to just keep an eye on this guy. Anytime there's a young forward that we know the club believes in strongly, and I know he's had injury issues.
Yeah,
he
hasn't
always
played
been
that
there.
much, has he? Yeah.
But that front 3 now that Brentford have, with a very solid defensive setup,
and
a
midfield
very hard-working,
structure,
honest midfield 3. I kind of like Schade, and fair play to him. We took his goals lovely, the little dink over the goalkeeper off the post. So I just think, listen, it's not maybe my most outstanding shout of all time.
It's a good shout.
But it's just somebody to watch.
Yeah,
Let's just keep an eye on him.
Underappreciated. That's the line, isn't it?
If you score a Premier League hat-trick at 23, you're decent.
Yeah.
You're decent. And you've got a chance of being a regular goal scorer for the club. Let's see if he can do that.
With Mbeumo, Wissa and him, and maybe Lewis Potter. It's not bad 3-4 players who can get you goals. So, nice shout. Kevin Schade is mostly underappreciated. Wolves 2, Bournemouth 4. Another hat-trick, my friend. We've got a hat-trick. We've got Premier League history. There ain't too many times Justin Kluivert's going to take the headlines away from his old man, Patrick Kluivert, who was a proper player.
Yeah, amazing player.
Justin Kluivert gets a hat-trick of penalties. But you also remember the other history was Evan Nielsen had a hat-trick of fouls. He was fouled by Totti and twice by the goalkeeper, Jose Sarr. Justin Kluivert takes a 3 penalty, scores all 3, and gets the match ball. And Evan Nielsen gets.
What does he get?
Please tell me. He gets a bruised shin, and a thank you very much.
I mean, tell me he gets.
He doesn't get an assist.
Points.
You don't get an assist. You don't get. No, you get a pat. You get a pat off the back off using.
He gets. I think maybe he gets something in fantasy.
Does he?
I hope he does. I mean, it was the main reason. Yeah, maybe he does get
maybe
an assist.
in
Maybe
fantasy.
he does. I'm not sure what the rules are, but maybe he
I'd
does.
buy him a pint after the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny, wasn't it? I mean, Joe Desai, what, have you had something against him? He wiped him out
just
twice.
wiped him out a few times, yeah.
But just when you think the Wolves are finding a way, they are kind of open.
Keep you down there,
they are kind of open.
A bit like Everton in some respects. You kind of think these are a decent team.
I think they're going to be okay, but they're right in it again.
Yeah.
They're 9 points. They're right there.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a few teams down there. Brighton won, Southampton won. A bit of a feisty affair down on the south coast, my friend. Matoma, I know you'd been a bit critical of his output at times, not quite at the level he was. He gets a header on the four post after Lamptey cross to put Brighton 1-0 ahead, and then you think Brighton are going to dominate it. But second half, I have to say, Southampton, Rob, and we'll talk about they stuck to their beliefs. They played their football. They scored a beautiful goal,
right from back to front.
And actually, we had a really, I thought, quite a controversial moment when they had the offside goal where Cameron Archer scores the goal, and Armstrong was offside, and he deemed to interfere with the ability of Verbruggen to play the ball. So whether it was felt that Verbruggen couldn't get out to deal with the ball initially because Armstrong's there, or he could have taken a different position in his goal when Archer.
Right. That might be it for me. That's the only thing I can see from me. And the PGMOL tweeted this and said, deemed to have restricted his ability to play the ball. But he wasn't getting to the first part.
No, he wasn't getting to the original cross.
Maybe if Armstrong's not there, right, in offside position, maybe he's in a different position to save the cross. I really don't think so.
Pull him a face.
So it was controversial.
And let's remember the on-field decision was offside. And it almost feels to me...
This is a subjective one.
Yeah, it's subjective.
Interfering or not.
PGML have made this fit. How can we make this fit? Because originally, Russell Martin said they were told that it was interfering with Van Hecker, the defender. Then they looked at it and I thought, you're definitely not Van Hecker. Yeah. It looks like they've gone to the next thing and said, deemed to interfere with Van Bruggen's ability to play the ball.
Its ability to play the ball.
Yeah.
It must be from the shot that went in because he couldn't get to the first.
No, he couldn't get to the first.
I think it's Kieran Norwood's error, but they've got maybe you got a point there. We're going to back you. We want to back you, and they backed him.
They stay with the referee's decision, which is something they wanted to do.
I didn't like it. It didn't feel right.
Then there was a little bit of pushing and shoving and a few exchanges of opinions between the two managers.
We like that.
Absolutely like
that.
We
push and shove each other sometimes in the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. And love Russell Martin standing up for his team and what he believes and actually should have been. Ursula's a bit chirpy, and he wanted to chirp him with a couple of things, and he's a young man. He's learning. He's got
into some trouble this season.
He's got a bit about him, hasn't he?
But I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
But in the end, a point apiece. But I have to say, Southampton, for me, I thought deserved all 3 points. Yeah. And fair play, because during the half time, both of us were say critical of Russell Martin, but we're saying times do you have to look at it a little bit differently and play a little differently.
This is a big 45 minutes, mate. I thought his job was in trouble if they lost that game because of where they are. It would have been 4 points. The gap, I guess, the gap would have been 5 to safety. Yeah. But they're fighting. They're still fighting. They're still fighting.
Very behind the manager, believe in what they're doing.
The manager.
And if that's the way they want to go, good luck to them. And
we'll see. They fight another day
over the period. Crystal Palace won, Newcastle won. Palace with own goal first. Gay, who's not had a great season of it since. Could have gone to Newcastle, actually. $65 million. It didn't go and hasn't particularly played that well. I don't know
pounds that was, by the way, wasn't it?
Was pounds?
£65 million, that was.
$90 million, but that didn't go through. He scores the own goal. And then Palace are up against it, to be honest. And then Munoz, who should have scored in the first half, comes back late on and gets a header. And we see Oliver Glasner run down like Jose Mourinho style down the touchline. Great scenes.
There's great scenes. Sellers Park. It's great scenes, and they're fighting, and that's what this league's great, mate. We can talk about the top stuff. And that's I like the fighters at the bottom as well. I like Southampton there, almost like rock bottom, and they find a way second half to find a way back. And so did Crystal Palace. Palace are banging trouble. They're out just on goal difference right now, Rob, in terms of the relegation area. So. A fascinating fight at the bottom.
As a being back and as a fit makes him better, mate. And I know he wasn't at his best coming back at this.
Let me just mention Newcastle, Rob, because I thought they were going to have a good season this year. I tipped them for
a
really good season.
Sure,
disappointed. I'm disappointed. They're mid-table. They got most people fit again now. I know that Isak got
injured again, didn't he? Yeah.
I'm disappointed. It's gone a little flat.
Wilson's been out for a while, so they've not had the centre forward.
They have Isaac.
Yeah.
They've got good options in midfield.
Yeah.
They've got good options with Harvey Barnes and the wide players they've got.
Yeah, it's just not taken off as you thought, has it, around the football club? And when you think of Eddie coming in and the Saudi money and what we were expecting, hasn't quite been that, has it?
The window was disappointing.
Yeah.
The window.
Yeah.
Just another couple of
players.
players.
Well, he was upset, wasn't he, Eddie? They didn't get the players in that they wanted. Paul Mitchell's come in and there was a bit of fallout.
There was a bit of fallout.
And I don't know if that's affected. But, yeah, let's see how things go. But, interesting period coming up between now and Christmas for Newcastle, getting themselves back into that top 6 conversation. And finally, Nottingham Forest 1, Ipswich 0. Chris Wood with his 9th Premier League goal of the season, penalty kick.
Right down the middle of the goal.
Yeah, down the middle of the goal. Was Silva Josh Silva, wasn't it? Just got tripped. I think Smodic or somebody.
Yeah, Smodic's reached him with his foot.
It was just one of those where he just makes enough contact,
but there was enough
to give the goal. And Forest get a win. Keeps a decent start to their season going. Ipswich are playing well and competitive, mate, but not quite picking up enough points, are they?
You know, when I watched them play at the end of the game, I thought, I feel they should trust how good they are.
Yeah.
And trust themselves a little bit more. I know the manager's really cautious about being too expansive, and they're trying to find that balance of being strong, but also creating. I don't know. I think they're a bit better than what they think, but they've got 9 points, Rob. Again, they're right in it. All the ones at the bottom, they're still in it, with a chance of getting out of it.
5 or so teams, isn't there?
Well, that's all the games, mate. And I just quickly, I just thought we just passed the third of the season.
Yeah.
It's a Premier League table, right?
Okay, let's
have a little. What's your surprises? Where we're at right now? Give us your kind of when you look at the teams on that
surprises.
Sheet, what are your?
What surprised me is Chelsea FC are on the same points as Arsenal, are sitting third in the league, and have played some outstanding football. With a young manager
so far, yeah.
Nottingham Forest sitting 6th in the league. A surprise.
Amazing.
Nuno to get the start that he's got. The only team to beat Liverpool this season in the Premier League. Chris Wood on 9 Premier League goals. It's amazing. Nottingham Forest ahead,
the last couple of
ahead
seasons
of
to try
Tottenham,
and scrape their way into
ahead
this
of
league.
Manchester United. Is big news. Aston Villa down in 12th is a shock for me.
I'd say Newcastle United in 11th is a shock for me.
Yeah, I didn't fancy Newcastle as much, but the opposite.
I thought had a good one, and I thought Newcastle had a good one. I guess we're both right.
Both kind of right and both been wrong. West Ham's been a disappointment, mate. When you say surprise, it's been a disappointment. For them to be sitting in 14th spot with what they spent with the manager and everything sort of set up to go again, that's been disappointing.
Yeah, again, I'm just going to go through it real quick. Palace being where they are is a little disappointing for them. I expect Southampton, Ipswich, Wolves, Everton, West Ham's that's a problem with the new manager. Bournemouth, okay. Villa, Fulham. I mean, they've dropped a little bit recently. Their form's gone a little bit. Manchester United is obviously really interesting now with a different manager. Brentford continues to do great. Spurs I expected to be a little bit higher up. But I think the shocks come towards the top. We didn't expect this at Liverpool, did we?
Liverpool.
9
Liverpool.
Point gap. The third of the season.
11 points above Manchester City, mate.
And conceded 8 goals. That's outstanding for them.
That's taken Jurgen Klopp and +1.
Yeah, 11 wins out of 13 in the Premier League. So that's some of the biggest surprises. A third of the way in. So many blooming stories, Rob, up and down that league that we're going to enjoy over the coming weeks and
Absolutely.
months.
But this weekend was all about that big game at Anfield where it was Liverpool who came out on top. They're 9 points clear of City now. Mind you, Pep reminded her he's won 6 titles while at City in charge. Elsewhere, Man United and Chelsea both show good signs of improvement, and Arsenal seem to be playing themselves back into form. We'll be back on Wednesday, that's December the 4th. Got a midweek round of matches with consequences at both ends of the table, and the big game is inform Arsenal face inform Manchester United at the Emirates. But for now, I'm Earl, he's Musty, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
Then it's good night from him.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.